Good morning, everybody. It's 10:10 on the clock. How perfect. I have two significant messages for you. They're both coming from my 3-deck messages of the day of the Metatron deck, Nature's Whispers and Shaman Dreams. On the screen, you see the first one. There's a lot of drawings that have been coming in related to this, and I would like you to also watch Elena Denon and Dan Winter's group chat, because a lot of what I bring up etherically is connecting with what they're bringing up scientifically. As I'm losing my voice, some of this needs to be spoken. I was just getting the day the music died. The church bells all were broken, and the 3 men I admired the most. And that came up in my post last night of the 3 wise men. The Father, Son, and the Holy Ghost, the last train for the coast the day the music died. So that is a message that's coming up right now. So, and I rolled the die just before I came on with you guys, and we had Uranus came up here, so sudden events, which came up in, whose last was, I think Capricorn had the tower in the middle of their read yesterday, and here's Capricorn, so there you go, confirming that. So sudden events for Capricorn here, or Capricorn energy, and we have the number 9 too, of the 1 and the all. The 9 is also the Hermit, the Virgo energy, and Uranus is also Aquarius energy. So Aquarius, Capricorn, and the Hermit, which is fixed, cardinal, and mutable. So very well balanced there. I want to get right into it. I might post these two together. I might post them separately. That's just Teddy in the background trying to join the conversation with us. So he may have a message for us today. This one was done on the 29th, and you see the read in front of you, but I have some drawings that I'm going to go through as well. Just a quick briefing of the drawing here. This is the page I'm going to show you with the drawings here, so you can see some of the symbols that I'll be bringing up. Okay, so you have the page to read through if you want to. So this first one starts out at 9:22 on the 29th, which was 28, that was 34 day, 29, 38, 39, 40, yep, no, it's 44 day. Is that right? Yep, 44. So the 29th was 44, which is the 3 of Wands and the 4 of Cups. And then so today is the 30th, which is then the 45 of the Purging card, the 5 of Cups, along with the 30 of Union and the Home. Okay, so this read, it was started at 9:22, putting out the cards till 25, which 25 has been coming up significantly too as the Knight of Wands. 9 is the Hermit, 22 is the Fool's Journey, and the Knight of Wands is coming up as the masculine with a slow burn, learning how to temper their ego, passion energy. The 3 piles that came up first, because the way I do this read, all the underlying energies over here, here, and here. This is the way the cards came out organically, and then here is a pile that I usually have to count from each deck. Not always, sometimes there's no cards to count. But in this deck, it was coming out as 3, and then 4 with this one, and then 3, but also 2 was coming out here, 2 and then 3. So the message around those 3 piles was the 3 to 4, and then the 2 to 3, which also represents the spiral, right, going up to the 4 from the 3, and then coming back down around to the 2, and back up through the 3 again. But also 34, we're coming up with 23, which is the energetic exchange with the King of Wands. And there's that passion, again, going from the King of Wands back to the Knight of Wands to temper that passion or that ego. It's also the Empress, the Emperor, and the High Priestess. The Empress, or abundance and control, or the Empress and the Emperor, the 2 of Cups, abundant, as the underlying energy of the 2 of the High Priestess and Divine Feminine are called here in the underlying energy to review and reflect a time out that's needed. The 27 of the Ace of Wands to maintain your childlike spirit, and the 60 of the 6 of Swords, which is peace, and the Watchers. The High Priestess, Divine Feminine, twins, inspired by peace, being childlike, and the ancient watchers all at the same time. So being that inner child and the ancient watcher, the emerald order, at the same time. At 9:32 is the underlying energy of the 11, the wake-up call to drink, play, both in water. I matter, ikosa, as in the icosahedron. That is the 20-faced hedron. For dolphin emotional well-being, friendly being, the chariot vehicle, the divine feminine in the divine masculine ascending together, the chariot and the dolphin. The 40 of evolution, which is the Page of Cups, the dynasty, the generation, the stem connection of the Page of Cups sweethearts, the water babies, the 42 of the Two of Cups 1-to-1 on the whispering bench or the canoe, going with the flow as the salty girl and the fresh boy, where the salt water meets the fresh water in the Mary Magdalene baptism. The 28 is the twin flames, untying karmic knots in the electromagnetic grid, the double diamonds, twinkle twinkle, twin key in the sky. SKY is Sophia's KY, the energy of the Y in the road, the 0-point field. The 2 of the divine feminine high priestess and the twins review and reflect time out needed in the purple moon, which purple moon for me is that 0-point field. At 9:39 is the Hermit and the Knight of Cups, with the 10 of destiny and that high vibration of the new dawn. And again, Dan Winter, I brought it up in my last video, and there he came up in a video that I watched this morning. And Dawn also is Dan Winter. My brother's also Dan and Dawn, so here's Dawn. So Dawn is Dan with the 2 U's in it. And Dan is also means Lord. So it's like the Lord twins, like Lord of the Rings. The Christ egg cracked open also. So New Dawn, NEWDAWN, is the Christ egg cracked with 2 U's, the 2 vine human connection to 2 U's as the human Jesus ascending to Christ. The silver moon through the purple moon to the golden rays of the sun. So again, referencing going from the silver gate to the golden gate, from being man with ego back to source again. And then paper was coming up. And there was some, many years ago, I had read something about the Pope in an old text, and they referenced the Pope as P-U-P-I. And I always used to call my dad Poopy, not because he was poop, like going to the bathroom, but it was a term of affection for me. And I always remembered that because it was like being popish, and my father had that feeling of being popish as a kind, older gentleman. But you won't find that definition in the dictionary for P-U-P-I. But what I did find, and it came up through paper again, and paper moon was coming up, the paper purple moon, and realized that P-A-P-E is definition for Pope. And so then a paper is someone who acts as the Pope, one who popes or fathers. We have, it also means to chow down, to eat, water, bit, display, flat hilt. It also is the handle of Excalibur, the sword. To expose, devour, to take away and snatch. The paper roll, the record and the reed. Where Poopy, P-U-P-I, is the boy, the child, the puppet, the pupil of the eye, which people consider the nothingness, right? It's not the shutter. The pupil is the nothingness. It's the openness for the light. To die, extinct, is what pupil is defined as, end and finish. P-U-P-O, so P-U-P-A is the feminine child. P-U-P, I think, O is the masculine version. And also P-U-P-I came up as the boy child or puppet. P-U-P-O came up as the harvest, which we talk about Hercules being her harvest. The harvest to reap, pupa, doll, so it's doll and boy. Poop, small child, belly button and puppet. Great advantage, cutting or chopped or root at the base, like cutting down the cherry tree. Separating the inedible parts out of something. So Popper was coming up as the POP server, the access of email, or pepper. So literally one who peppers. They don't salt, they pepper, and have access to all email. Very interesting the way that came up regarding the Pope. So I finally found POUPE, which references something very close to that positive Pope image, which means to save, to spare, to economize, to touch softly, to care for. There's also an expression IWO with an accent over the I, and POPO with the opposite accent over both O's. To enter, street, junction, road, the act of entering into the roads, right, into the past. So it very much reminded me of the Y in the road, the POUPE, with a U accent on top of the E. A a sacred ritual held in early August, the start of the Osun Osogbo festival, and that's from the Yoruba people. So then talking about all this poo, I had to go to the bathroom at that time right after this. It was 10:13 to 14, which is the transition to the angelic realms. But then the pupil also came up again, which is the portal opening to let light in. PUPI at the right angle equals pupil. So poopy is literally referencing that nothingness of the divine feminine, the pupil, the openness. And then PU came up, which is beetle, BETEL, and nut. So there's that Beetlejuice reference of poo. And then P, right? Poopy's also poop and piss, right? I didn't even think of that until now. So poopy is poop and piss, but it's also the beetle, the nut, the sound, the water, the tree, the fort, the mountain, the hill, the wood, the hand, the maternal uncle. And PU with a line above the U is together, the conch shell, the coil of hair, the rope string of the canoe, the original stem of the plant or net, quiet tree, origin, source, base, a strong foundation, sun, and firearm. So very much comes up as a very nice word, the meanings of poo and pee. And PI, of course, is pi, in addition to P. And it's also that pyramid hat without the base on it, pi. And it's also to give, sell, take, drink, and smoke, go, do, water, be, foot, even, pine and pine wood, thorn, big, leader, and thatch, and the mouth in ancient Greek. And also PEI came up as dog, water, foot, and AP, like as in a pea pod, and pie, and go, as in a pie that you eat. So we went from the number 2 to the 10 and then to the 52, which was the Queen of Swords, Big Bird, the transition of I God, and you can see these are all, I'm still in the underlying energies right here coming up to this card right here. So you'll see when I get into this first card, because that's the number 40. So the Big Bird transition, I always talk about this Queen of Swords card. It's literally a picture of a big rainbow triangle inside a winged energy. And it comes up as the 52, the Queen of Swords, the Big Bird, where B, capital B, is 13 of transition, and big is BIG, the I God, or the chakra system of God. And the bird is the transition to I Road, or I Path, the chakra system path. The transition of those two, and also B and B referencing Beetle and Beetlejuice and Bellatrix, with Juice and Trix up her sleeve, the Beetles and the Bella of the ball, the transition of all through facing one's self. So the Silver Gate is considered, and some of this is coming from Ascension Glossary, but Orion's dragon, so most people aren't aware of this. I was guided to a site one day drawing a picture of a dragon that faces Orion. Its tail, the point of its tail is the Pleiades, and the dragon's breath is right in front of Orion, going up to the two stars. I'm just blanking out on their names. But it's the Taurus constellation, the dragon. But this is the positive dragon, but it's also Orion's self, right? So this is where my picture comes up regarding the sine wave today, in addition to the pictures I showed you already. So the silver gate is considered Gemini and Taurus, or Orion, which is between Gemini and Taurus being the dragon, Gemini, of course, the twins. And Orion here is coming up as Atlas to the divine feminine Ophiuchus, or Ophiuchus's Hercules, which is her harvest. So Orion's dragon of Taurus and Gemini at the silver gate to the opposite side, which is the golden gate of Ophiuchus Hercules, Scorpio Sag, the golden gate, where they're fighting themselves to get to the Swan. She through her harvest, or Hercules, and he through Andromeda and Pegasus connection, where it has to go through Pegasus to get back to the left entrance to the Swan, where she enters from Hercules into the head of the Swan directly, right? Head direct connect. So she at the head, which looks like it could be the tail, but it's actually the head facing Hercules, and he at the left wing. For the right wing is Draco, and north is Cepheus. Also north is, what's that one called? Also north is Lacerta, which is the lizard, the little lizard. Very interesting story with the little lizard. Teddy, can you please relax? Thank you. Just relax. It's okay. The little constellation behind the tail is Lacerta, which is also called Stellio, the 68th constellation. And there's no story behind Stellio, but it's a type of lizard known as a starred A gamma, G-A-M-A, which I just told you from Phoenician, comes up as the gamma ray, looking like the number 7, but more of a boomerang. Okay, very interesting, the boomerang. But they also consider this little lizard the little Cassiopeia because of the W in it. But it's little Cassiopeia, she was all about the vanity. And here's the little lizard on the platform that I always talk about. So very interesting the way that came up. So we have Orion's dragon and Ophiuchus's Hercules, both fighting themselves to get to the Swan. She through her harvest and he through Andromeda and Pegasus connection. She at the head and he the left wing, where Draco's on the right, like I said, and this little lizard on their platform is at the butt of the Swan. But also Cepheus is also there, which is the father, the king of the hill, was coming up here, because remember he was married to Cassiopeia, who Cassiopeia, gave up her daughter. And because of vanity. So the father, the king of the hill, and she, the queen, he's learning his quadrangle, so the angle of the 4. So then my 4 chambers of the heart came up, where I showed you the images, and I showed you this before, but the 4 chambers of the heart came up in a pinwheel today. So this is what I'm talking about here. All right, so we have the 4 chambers of the heart in this drawing here. This is the tree reflecting the tree in the water. This is the horizon line, right? And then this is the vertical pillar of the human. So referencing the tree reflection in the water of the humans, of the feminine and the masculine on either side. This is their human body, right? And at the heart of it is the star. And again, the arcs on either side of the tree, right? They're reaching out to each other, reflecting, which is the top of the mouth and the bottom of the mouth, or the smile and the frown. And then you notice if you put both of them together, and then you have the vertical pillar and the horizontal pillar of the star with the diamond in the middle, it makes the curves that makes the 3 and makes the E, as well as the M and the W, which is the rolling stone. It's all the same letter, just rolling in 4 quads. And as you put the 4 heads together, this is what it becomes. Okay, if you put the 4 4s together at the head, whether it's a pointy 4 or a squared 4, it looks like a pinwheel if you put it together with the pointy 4, and it looks like the swastika if you put it together in the squared 4. All right, so here's the pinwheel, and then here is the swastika 4, okay, within the star. So either one works, because remember, there are no straight lines. Everything is an arc, so it's all circled eventually. So what was coming up here is the 4 by 4, right? 4 number 4s of the heart becomes the 16 of the tower. The strong wood, 4 by 4s, is the strong foundation. The home is the heart. And then what's coming up as, instead of the swastika, the zwastika, but again came back to the S again because of the sine wave and everything's circular. But the zwa definition came up as win. The ZTR for the star came up as lose. And then the 0 point, or SER, also came up, is the neutral zone, or the 0 point field. Okay, so those are the first pictures. And again, the reference to the rolling stone picture over here, separated from those over here as well, becoming the 3, the E, the M, and the W. The rolling stone with the star in the middle, the vertical and horizontal pillars. So ZRO also came up as for the 0 point, which means ant. So the ants came up, the driver ant, the square, the antelope, which is bush buck, the buck who's in the bush, even though it's an antelope or antelope, not a lope, but a bush buck. Also the buck who hides in the bush. So in remembering that there are no straight lines, and a square which you turn it an eighth becomes a diamond, right? So the square that you turn an eighth becomes the diamond, but it isn't really a square because all lines are arched. They're not curved, they're not straight. So this is coming up as within, which creates the star, and this is the arc without, which becomes the circle. So everything is the star or the circle as opposed to the square or the diamond. And then there is the S form of the number 4, which you see, it looks like a pinwheel again, but it's just more smoothed out. Or again, it is the energy of the toroidal field. You see that coming in. All right. You need to stop, honey. I'm talking. Shh. No. Sorry, guys. Jen is not home right now, so he's kind of missing her. So he's been a little bit whiny yesterday and today. It's okay, you're a good boy, but I'm doing my video. So, shh, okay. Thank you, Teddy. Okay, so we have the pinwheel, sine wave, and again, sinus rhythm of the heart. And here's just different, little hand drawings that I was doing of the sine wave, and then there's the Hindu swastika. And then you see the energies of the whole star heart and how it ends up being a circle here and a circle here on each side, so the 4 circles and so on. Going into this energy over here, putting the Hindu swa here, and how I'm getting swan energy now here too. Sorry, I keep dropping it. So the diamond is the square tilted, no straight lines, only arcs. The circle equals the square, there are no straight lines. The swastika is that which is good, that's what it literally translates to. Within each chamber is a portal, where's the dot in the Hindu swastika. That 0 point field. And just like in the chambers of the heart, right, you have all the portals of going in and out of each chamber. I was also getting, for 0 point, the ZR abbreviation, I was getting the 2RY, which is actually a word that comes up in Wiktionary. 2RY means secondary, and the point comes up as it is the 0 point field, but it's coming up as what pulls the rolling stone together, which came up in Elena and Dan's video for me today. So please watch Elena Denon and Dan Winter's video with, there's I think 3 other guys, or actually 4 other people in the video. I think it was 3 days ago, on I'm trying to remember what the title was, but you'll see because it's a big group with Dan Winter. But please watch that because they were talking about that. And when I was watching it this morning, it was pulling in this drawing that I'd made about the rolling stone and the shape of the 3, because as the toroidal field or the donut implodes on itself, one of the shapes is the 3, which becomes the rolling stone based on where of 7 points on the circle you're coming from. So there is a connection there to what I'm getting to what he was explaining. So SRO also came up as an abbreviation, which means rhyme. CER is to be and exist, for the 0 instead of 0, to be, exist, and 0 is the human embodiment of source. And then SRK came up as well for congregation. So here's where the 11, I've talked about this too before, that the 11 is the 2 humans side by side, the 1 and the 1. It's when they start dancing and do the 8th dance, coming together an 8th each, it becomes the X. And then you add the X, the 8th dance, after you start dancing back and forth, doing the dance, becoming the X. And the X then gets added to the star and becomes the supernova experience out of this world. Okay. So let me show you the picture of the other guys too before I forget to do that. So here is the picture of the sine wave. All right. So in this sine wave are all the astrological signs starting from Leo here all the way to Cancer over here. So the sine wave is literally all the astrological signs. Orion is right here, the boy, and Ophiuchus is over here with Hercules above, right? They're connected as one, fighting themselves. And there's Orion over here fighting his dragon, which is Taurus. We have Andromeda and Pegasus here, where he has to go through these 2 who are connected by a star to get to this wing of the Swan, where Draco's over here, and over here, I didn't draw it, but is the little lizard on the Draco platform. And then we have and Ophiuchus over here going through her Hercules in order to get back into the head of the Swan, her harvest. So you can see how this goes. And then Aquarius is right in the center of this, as we're in the age of Aquarius. So it's pretty cool the way it was coming out. So he keeps the twins safe away from his dragon self, as she with direct connect to the sun's head through Hercules, her harvest, as he must go through Andromeda and Pegasus combo to come into the Swan from the left wing, as Draco has access to the right. The Pleiades is at the end of his dragon's tail, with 7 sisters and all. Remember that the Ophiuchus Scorpio Sag is the Golden Gate according to Ascension Glossary, and then the Gemini Taurus, where Orion is the Silver Gate of the human with the ego. So going from the humanness back to the sourceness of us, and again the feminine and the masculine. And by the way, Volpenta as well is there with Lyra and Dolphinus constellations are all around the Swan. And Volpenta is the little, I think I'm saying it right, is the little fox that has the goose in its mouth. And of course Lyra and the dolphins and the Lyrans can be cats and birds, and we have the Delphinius, their constellation as well. So all of those very positive energies, along with the little fox right there too, in the middle of it, with the goose in its mouth. And again, there's that energy of leaving the wounded warrior behind with the fox, because the fox always comes up as Sagittarius. Okay. So 2, 10, and 52 of the purple moon, the sun rays see Big Bird at 1:52, the Magician and the Queen of Swords. The divine feminine high vibe Queen of Swords 2 destined to be big birds. The 21 of the indigo, whole and complete, with star connection. Seriously. The moon and the sun, the bird and star, indigo child of mystery and mastery. It's a bird, it's a plane. What is that thing? Discovering our world. And the number 18. Mother Earth, the third rock from the sun, planting life at 0 point through the indigos with third eyes open. Pisces energy at the foot of this world and one in the next. Pisces, Libra, Queen of Swords, and 18 with ice cubes for grounding support. The cold earth, the cubits with C-U-B-I-T-S and cubits with Q-U-B-I-T-S, and then the capital Q with bits. And there's a confirmation for the capital Q with bits, because the capital Q is literally the seed going into the egg, the masculine and feminine energy, how creation happens, the Q, the quantum leap of the 0 with the line going into it, the bits, the Q's and the questions of the CU and the QU, and the capital Q of birds and the bees, the flowers and the trees, the bits and pieces of you and me, the sperm and the egg, and how we get in here, the quantum energy, twin flame push and pull, the double diamond star power, and how, with your energy healing hands, put your hands up, you're under arrest. Our EST equals I am, Estonian, to envy, east, grace, consent, favor, kindness, pleasure, and the Orient, to the south and or east, eve and evening, party, recital, horse, this one, I mean, bone, which bone is the capital B and 1, B1. You are. 0 point field. And then the card 31 came up, which was very interesting because when I'd taken pictures yesterday morning, there was a 31 in my picture. And 31 is the energy of chaos. It's the group, it's the fight, as well as the pursuit of happiness. Right? It's the fight and the game. It's the chaos of the sun coming in order to be transmuted to deal with control of the, it's like life and death, right? So sun is life, and then the death of control, like the accelerator and the brake, receiving the sun to build up stores when the ground cools. So it's also coming up as the ground cools, to remember to get some sun in your face, to get those messages coming through. The sun is a star close to us, so take advantage of it. The 26 of the Page of Wands, the pink life bulb womb, and the light bulb sun to lighten up the heart bulb, the cedar bulb, right, planted in us, weaving rays of the sun and womb through the heart and the tomb, which is the third eye. So also wanted to bring this up too, because they were talking about the Holy Grail, because there's literally pictures of the implosion of the toroidal field that are the shape of the Holy Grail, which fits perfectly with what they were talking about, with what I get about the Holy Grail being the bottom of the Holy Grail is the top of the womb, and then the Holy Grail connected to the heart. It's literally a connection. So Elena was talking about her device in her head, and she can only get through to them if they answer on the other end. So there is that connection of the heart, our heart to the womb, where creation happens. We can only get through if they answer the other end through the womb. So there is that heart-womb connection as two. We can't get to the other side without someone answering on the other end. So yeah, listen to that to understand what I'm talking about. We're also getting the life bulb as the womb, the cedar as the plant bulb of the heart, and then of course the light bulb of the sun, weaving rays of the sun, and they talk about that too. The phased array is the rays of weaving rays of the sun in the womb through the heart and the tomb, or the third eye. The 43 of coming together for healing, to pause to receive the sun. The 50 of the bird family and signs from spirit with love. Little bird to big bird. And again, here comes the opposite of that is the little lizard, right, on the platform of Draco. Little bird to big bird here is the positive aspect of that. The 5 of the indigo child with a message inside to unravel. with mouthpiece. And remember, piece is coming up as P-E-A-C-E. The mouthpiece shell, something natural, a cork or reed. Take the top off and let the message bleed through the pages, through the little ones. Who are you? They are extensions of you. Let them be free to speak and be heard. The emerald green heart healing, and the pink womb and green heart. The shell of Magdalena, which is a dessert, the Magdalena scalloped shell, her birthing rays with emerald order of the healing hearts. Indigo and emerald, the physical heart, gold and pink for compassion. The blue-green physical earth, and the golden pink sunset of compassion reflected in your ancestry. The evolution, Ev's olute or stem connection. The stem equals the path of the M. The capital M is 2 ones and the V between, which is the going from the 2 lowercase i's and the V, which is co-creation with the chakra system, growing fully into your illumination of the capital I M's in co-creation. I am, I co-create. The 3 cards then came up of the 32 and the tree of life, going from the id of the human to the I divine of the divine, or going from instant messaging of online to I am, the I am presence, which, by the way, when I was looking up a definition for the symbol of the backward C, nothing was coming up besides the opposite parenthesis. But also, the letter capital D is 1 and the backward C, which also translates back to M, because officially it used to be I think it was the 1 with a parenthesis on either side was actually the M. So literally capital D and is equal to M. So like parentheses, which is parent thesis, or par, E-N-T, he, sis. The pair of E-N-T are talking trees or giants. The S-I-S, which can be sister, but sis also equals 4 and 6, the 46 of the inner children loving each other, which also in Russian is a hand gesture of the thumb between the index and third finger, like the soup Nazi that says, nothing for you, right? One of the definitions was literally nuts to you or nothing for you. So it was literally the soup Nazi. And this symbol was 2 squared W's with a backward capital N in the middle. That was the Russian symbol here. But in Wiktionary, the way it was titled was Roman numerals 111, and then 2 with a line through it, and then another 111. So it was Empress, Empress, with the backward Christ in the middle, right? Because capital N for me is Christ, so backwards would be the Antichrist, surrounded by the 2 empresses. Very interesting. So 2 Sophias in the positive aspect with the 1 I am presence in the middle. S-I-S, the sisters. The 2 Sophias with the I am in the middle. 2 sine waves of the 4s. Remember, the 4s are the sine waves of the heart. 2 sine waves, though, with the I am at the center, or the 0 point field of the star. So of the explanation of how a pair of talking trees or giants or parents could raise 2 sisters who are all about themselves, or the soup Nazi, no soup for you, at 244, the high priestess, and the 44 of the social worker atlas, or the learning how to receive love. What was God thinking? From id to ID, on the talking tree of life, the Akashic records embodied in people who grow up to be parents with parentheses or parent thesis, their thesis on how to raise children to understand their Akash by opening a book? Absurd. The journey goes from man's ego and books to the purple moon with no need for paper, or that can reference the papal energies as well. Just signs and waves and petty coal junctions. So man put on their Jesus wings and read them a bedtime story instead, to help them remember that fairy tales are real, and to believe in magic, the magnetic inner child, and the muse of the inner child, magic and music, and castles on cloud 9, the journey of wisdom via number 54, the Page of Swords, Mercury, the messenger, direct from the sun, through Venus for permissions first, because she's such a prima donna, of course, before Mother Earth. A message, a seed planet, to the daughter that grows up to be the mother. Mercury, Venus, Earth, as Mars throws us off balance with all that masculine ego and stuff. But Jupiter's so fun and Friday and friendly, and Saturn is Saturday, reminds us of our responsibilities. Because suddenly, Sunday and Uranus come with epiphanies of prayer trying to leave for Neptune before Monday comes. In a dream state, awakening, Monday to harsh reality of Pluto that we have to do this, Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday too. At 2:57, the 2 of the High Priestess and the 3 of the 57 of the 3 of Swords, the separation from self. Then 2:58 of the Divine Feminine High Priestess, in her sleep, in her meditation, in her 5D connection, the underlying energy of the 37. The 37 is the unconditional love, which is always the ideal course of action. The 33 of the Christ consciousness, not religion, but awareness and unity, to be gentle with oneself. The 32 of trust, your understanding above all others, and the 23 of the King of Wands, master your passions, your vision of this, that you are worth it. Love of your life, flowering, horizon, her eyes on, the ship coming in, that could be you, and the 45 to allow the purge to empower self to peace, the 16 of sudden inner truths at the root of that cherry tree where it all began when it was chopped down, the 27 of the Ace of Wands to maintain your childlike spirit, which again is in that underlying energy over here as we get into here. So allow that childlike spirit, keep it simple, and trust yourself. With the 24 of the Queen of Wands, being called to be your best self always, as Andromeda is riding Pegasus and having fun, wild and free, in the 13 transition to renewal of peace, the baby in the nook of the tree, with Squirrel and all the little animals checking it out. First comes loving fun, then comes baby, then comes 30, bridging mountains and giants in the adventure called home and family, with a piece of each in the conch shell, a wake-up call to peace, to fit the pieces back together again. As a little birdie just tapped the window. At 309, which is the Empress and the Hermit, the King of Wands needs to purge for sudden events, the Tower or Epiphany, to become inspired in order to have fun with their flame. With 4 cards coming up next of the Emperor's heart, needing to play his cards right. The 11 to align with making a big decision, to be the desert and the jungle, as the 25 of the Knight of Wands, to get going, to keep your dreams alive, as the blue baby blows you a kiss. The 8 in a dance, the breakthrough of the butterfly transformation with an open heart, to dive right in to that crazy, chaotic ocean of emotion. The 1 of the magic divine feminine, to make a wish and blow. The dandelion, the lord of the lion or lord of the lions, will respond in kind. The 3 to 4, shut the door, as the totem, 60, the giant talking tree, accepts Piggy back for a ride. From the frog to the prince and little Piggy all the way home. The Queen of Cups 38, with many authentic masks, as the dust devil whips up a storm of intent. In the eye of the needle, with squinty intent, from 15 to 17, of dreams coming true, but he skipped the most important step, the 16 of the Tower, of the 4x4, whose strength that only comes through the flowering of the heart. In a blink of an eye, the moment has passed, and now you see it, but when it was happening, you didn't. It happens so fast, and that's why the 16's not there. The 51 of the King of Swords, meditating in the middle on the stone-curved bridge under the stars with limitless possibilities. As he finishes his meditation and then finishes crossing the road or the bridge to find peace with piggyback in the desert or desert where all is right with the world, for the tiger and the lioness, earthy and grounded, watching the show from the middle of nowhere and everywhere, 0 point field. At 324, the Empress and the Queen of Wands there. So 32 is the journeyman, the jeweled web of the lighting up of the path. For the 24, which is also Omega, the Queen of Wands galactic mushroom, the divine matrix. Now, Omega is considered the point of enlightenment as well, okay? So there's an importance about that. The 24 as that Omega, the enlightenment of the mushroom, making it there. The divine matrix, or the galactic mushroom, is the Gao act of the inner child from the MU, or the Mu, representing the Lemurians. So, shh. There's room for 2 vines entertaining, perhaps only, with peace and quiet while eating. Food on cloud 9, doing the 8th dance. The 46 of the root girl that never grew up and discovered self, or the disowned self here actually, the root girl that never grew up, right, because the cherry tree had been cut down. The 46 of the 6 of Cups inner children that need to be loved here. The Queen of Wands and the Queen of Swords, or the inner sisters whose little girls were stunted, or 2 queens come around the daughter who needs to heal, the 49 of getting their wish. The 9 of Cups of skywriting the fates, the Queen of Swords getting their wish of the unwritten sacred covenant, the Chariot, the divine feminine within the masculine ascending quick in the 8 dance of crown games, which is CG of the Christ God and right use of power, of Christ and God and the crow and friends, the crowns and hats removed and the fingers intertwined, as the 13 transition of the flying monkeys making one last ditch effort to knock you off your rail or your trail, to get you to refuse the call. The 1 of the divine masculine, the magician embodiment with a tidy house. Someone's trying to tell you that 1 is too proper or too tidy for you. It would never work, right? Someone trying to come in and interfere. Or the queen left her post so that the flying monkeys don't know what to do with themselves, but to hang around crystal balls and Hansel and Gretel's house. Or Beetle and Bella with Sirius getting between them, causing Orion to get Procyon to kick it out of the park. Or monkeys reminding the divine masculine of all the things that he still needs to get done to distract him off of his path if he wants to transition to that magical treehouse that he's dreamed about. So watch out for the dream thieves trying to create more karma instead of just transitioning directly to your new beginning. At 344, the Empress and the 44 of the social worker atlas, grounding, integrating, and mastering how to receive love. Free to leap. Love yourself first. Okay, so that was the first one. It's already 48. I'm going to let that go because I'm going to post them with their pictures, the sine wave picture. So I'm coming right back for the second one from today, just as important. So stay tuned. Rise and be love, love and rise.